done rides to 3 other national parks. The Kainji Lake National Park was the first. Then we went to the Cross River National Park, which is in the town called Akankwa. And then we rode to Taraba State. We went to the Gashaka Gumti National Park, which I think is one of the largest of the national parks. There are 6 of them. Right now, we're in the Old Oyo National Park, which is about, I think, 400 kilometers from Lagos. We chose to start riding to this national park to demonstrate and showcase the beauty and their relevance to our country, Nigeria, that we love so much. We set out from Lagos at about 7 a.m. with the team, and the rain beat the living, beautiful daylight into us from 10 kilometers away from Lagos all the way into Abeokuta, which was, I think, at about an 80-90 kilometer journey. It was heavy rain with Semirah sitting on my back and very poor visibility. The ground is slippery. I was pillioning for the very first time. It's raining heavily. So everything was working against, my sense of calm. You get bored riding on smooth roads. After some time, it gets boring. You're riding on smooth roads, you're just going, yeah. It gets boring after a while, even though the topography is changing and everything. But when you're on road that's not so good, it keeps you awake and it tests your riding skills. So actually yesterday, I graduated from just riding a motorcycle long distance to being able to ride on a bad road with a pillion on my GS. It was a beautiful journey. I enjoyed it. I started riding the BMW GS 1200 in 2014. Actually, I have never rode with a pillion on that bike ever. I mean, in Nigeria, never. Because I sometimes question my own skills. I know the level of my skills, so I don't pillion on a GS on a bad road. On a Goldwing, I would do that very easily. But on this ride, we have a member of the team called Semirah, who insisted she wanted to ride with me. And I said to myself, okay, this is a challenge actually, because I'll be riding with a pillion on that bike for the first time.
Today's to the ride, I could barely sleep. I was really looking forward to it. To be honest, I would have loved to ride, be the one to ride, rather than be the pillion. But I enjoyed the ride from Lagos, even though the rain humbled us. Me, in particular, because that's the first time I'll be riding very far.
I was saying, let's stop and wait for the crew who were riding in an SUV. But in my mind, I just wanted to keep going. I wanted to outride the rain, so we kept going.
I had the choice to remain on the bike under the rain or be in the car. But as the biker that I am, I continued, and it was really, at some point I thought I was going to catch a cold. I was shaking, but I found, but it was fun.
I was worried really because visibility was bad. Some people who had lost their minds were riding like lunatics during the rain, and that worried me a bit.
We started looking for initiatives like, oh, you shouldn't ride under the rain, are we sure he's safe?
We managed to get to the Shagamu interchange. The rain had started reducing, and then there was some parts of the road was flooded. We rode successfully into Abeokuta with no issues. We got splashed with water a few times, but other than that, it was okay. It was very uncomfortable, but it was okay.
We were inside the car, we were worried about him, but eventually we found him. He was fine.
We rode successfully into Abeokuta with no issues. And then from Abeokuta, we joined up with the other bikers and we rode to Sepeteri. And the ride was beautiful. The roads we found just coming out of Abeokuta, really terrible roads. And then we got on the way, got into Oyo State. The road wasn't fantastic. Some parts of it was good, most part of it was topsy-turvy. But here we are. It's all part of why the GS motorcycle was built in the first place. And I'm so happy I didn't ride my Goldwing, because if I had listened to Semirah, I would have rode the Goldwing. But I'm happy that I didn't, because we probably would have took that bike, put that bike on another truck, and then drove the rest of the way with the bike on the truck. So it was a beautiful journey. I enjoyed it.
When you're back on the road, like when you take a long leave, you're back on the road again. It feels awesome.
Hold on a second. Let's start from the very beginning. The plan to ride to the Old Oyo National Park was long overdue. Tony and his friends out of Nigeria had ridden to a number of other national parks, and it's been almost 2 years since the rode across the country. So, to get back into the riding game, Tony, also known as Black Rider, chose Oyo National Park. Why not? It's the closest to Lagos where the ride will kick off from. So, the Black Rider team had been publicizing the ride for about 2 months or so. One happy day on Facebook, a certain Firekiss reached out and gave a kiss of fire to the whole ride.
One guy that has been priceless to this adventure has been Firekiss. He's based in Abeokuta. And he planned the route, and he was so helpful. It was as though the project was his. He took it up like it was his. And I was really impressed,
In the biking world, and you hear names, but the moment you meet, you find out that you are spirits of a kind. This ride, I first saw it online, all right, and I thought, oh wow, that is one of the sites that I had always wanted to actually go. But then I thought, oh, October 1st, that is the Tuesday, and then Wednesday. How many people would have time as such? So I then called Tony, came, and we rubbed minds on when best to make it work.
We are going somewhere about here. Okay. All right. Okay.
And then the road it's a pretty good road.
Really?
Oh yes, because it is the abandoned and the Badagry Sokoto road.
Okay.
They were doing. We found out that, look, let's move to the pre-October 1st weekend. And we will have time and everybody can really be in quotes of work. And the interest was great.
With all the plans set and new dates announced, the adventure, well, you already know, it rained right through from Lagos to Abeokuta. So well, here's where the journey to the Old Oyo National Park began, at Abeokuta. Now, let's tell you about the legend of Sepeteri. Oh, no, not the town, the biker.
So when we got to Abeokuta, all soaked and drenched and everything, one guy showed up with a bike that I looked and said, this guy must definitely be like riding within town. He's definitely, there's no way this guy's on this adventure with this bike. I looked at the bike and I was like, dude. So when he saw us, he came to us and he was talking and we just kept conversing. And I said, all right, well, good company, good chatting while we're waiting for the other bikers. I think I would actually go on the ride because I'm sure this dude is not riding with us. So he got there, and then eventually Firekiss came, and then 2 other bikers showed up, Emmanuel and Abby. 4 bikers from Abeokuta joined us, and I felt very happy about that because I mean we're now riding with other motorcycle company. I really like that, and they rode with us through thick and thin, through bad roads, good roads, and everything. And the challenge on the road was not even the bad road for me. It was Sepeteri and his bike. You know, Sepeteri is the name of the town that hosts the Old Oyo National Park. But then we nicknamed the bike of Dele Sepeteri because this Honda, I think the white man that made this bike, if he sees the bike now, will not recognize the bike because the wires are hanging everywhere and stuff like that. So, first time we got to a traffic light, the bike went off and he says, "Oh, I know it's my pump, it's the fuel pump, and I know it's going to go there." I'm looking at this guy and say, "Well, it looks like this is going to be good riddance right here." Dele, if you're listening to this, just sticking with with a kind heart. And I said, this guy can't be on this journey. This guy is going to delay us. He's not going to ride. This guy is going to pack up halfway on this journey, and we're going to be worried about what to do with him. I told myself that. I can't remember how many times Dele pieces the fuel pump, serviced it, touched this, glued this together, but that bike made it. And honestly, I have new respect for this guy. He doesn't care what you think, he doesn't care what, he just tells you, Dele now, Dele, Kolo. That means it will get to him and it will get there. But believe it or not, this bike didn't only make the adventure, he made it back to Abeokuta.
Okay, that's enough about Dele and his bike. After about an hour's ride, the group stopped over for breakfast. Breakfast? Yeah. Okay, maybe lunch or brunch at Semirah.